The desperate roommate, Search Marcus Chen, stared at his bank account balance on the holographic display, the red numbers seeming to mock him from across his cramped studio apartment. 3 months behind on rent, student loans piling up like digital, vultures, and his part-time job at the intergalactic postal service, barely covering his daily protein-paced meals. The year 2087 had brought humanity into a golden age of interstellar cooperation. But for a 24-year-old xenobiology graduate student, it felt more like survival mode. Outside his window, the neon-soaked streets of Neo-Tokyo buzzed with activity. Humans walked alongside towering crystalline beings from Proxima Centauri, while sleek Valdorian shuttles glided silently between the megatowers that scraped the polluted sky. The city had become a melting pot of a dozen different species since the Great Alliance of 2075, each bringing their own technology, culture, and sometimes their own problems. Marcus rubbed his tired eyes and opened the housing portal on his tablet. Page after page of roommate advertisements scrolled by. Most demanding first month's rent, plus deposit, background checks, and species compatibility certificates. He was about to give up when a posting caught his attention. Seeking compatible roommate for shared living space in Sector 7, Valdorian female, age equivalent to human mid-20s, currently on diplomatic assignment, no species preference, rent negotiable for right candidate. Serious inquiries only. The attached photo made Marcus's breath catch in his throat. The woman, if he could call her that, possessed an otherworldly beauty that seemed to shimmer even through the digital display. Her skin held an opalescent quality, shifting between pale silver and soft blue tones, while her large, luminous eyes seemed to hold depths of starlight. Her hair, if it could be called hair, appeared to be composed of flowing fiber optic strands that pulsed gently with bioluminescent patterns. Valdorians were rare on Earth, usually only visiting for high-level diplomatic missions or scientific exchanges. They were known for their advanced technology and their mysterious culture that valued emotional harmony above all else. Marcus had studied their physiology in his xenobiology courses, but had never interacted with one personally. His finger hovered over the contact button. What did he have to lose? His current situation was already desperate, and the advertisement mentioned negotiable rent. Maybe she needed help with human culture or language. Maybe this could be his break from the suffocating cycle of poverty. "Hi, I saw your posting about the roommate situation," he typed, trying to sound confident despite his nervousness. "I'm a graduate student in xenobiology, human male, 24. I'm clean, quiet, and genuinely interested in interspecies cultural exchange. Would you be willing to meet?" He hit send before he could second-guess himself. Within minutes, his tablet chimed with a response. The text appeared in perfect English, though he could see the original Valdorian script shimmering beneath it, a testament to their advanced translation. Technology. "Greetings, Marcus. Your message intrigues me. I am Zara Veltar, currently stationed on Earth for an extended diplomatic mission. I would very much like to meet with you. Are you available tomorrow evening? One can prepare some traditional Valdorian refreshments as a gesture of goodwill." Marcus's heart raced as he read the message. Tomorrow evening felt both too soon and not soon enough. He quickly replied with his agreement and spent the rest of the night researching Valdorian customs, not wanting to embarrass himself during their first meeting. The next evening arrived with agonizing slowness. Marcus had cleaned his apartment 3 times, changed his clothes twice, and practiced conversation starters in the mirror until he felt ridiculous. When the door chime finally rang, his palms were sweating despite the apartment's climate control. He opened the door to find Zara standing in the hallway, and seeing her in person, took his breath away completely. She was taller than he had expected, nearly 6 feet, with a graceful, elongated frame that seemed to flow like liquid mercury. Her skin was even more mesmerizing in person, shifting through subtle color changes that he realized must reflect her emotional state. Currently, she glowed with warm golden undertones that felt welcoming and curious. "Marcus." Her voice was musical, carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate in his chest. "I am Zara. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." "Please come in," he managed, stepping aside to let her enter. As she moved past him, he caught a scent like ozone after a thunderstorm mixed with something floral and completely alien. It was intoxicating in a way he couldn't explain. Zara glided into his small apartment, her large eyes taking in every detail with genuine interest rather than judgment. She carried a small, crystalline container that pulsed with soft light. "Your living space has a very human warmth to it," she said, her skin shifting to deeper gold tones. "I brought some essence of Valdorian moonflowers," Zara said too. "Promote understanding between different species." As she began to prepare the refreshments, Marcus found himself studying the way she moved. The graceful efficiency of her gestures, the way her bioluminescent hair responded to her emotions with gentle pulses of color. He was falling under a spell he didn't fully understand, drawn to this alien woman in ways that both thrilled and terrified him. "So," he said, settling onto his couch as she joined him, "tell me about this diplomatic mission of yours." Zara's expression grew slightly more serious, her skin taking on cooler blue tones. "I am part of an advanced team preparing for formal peace negotiations between Valdoria and the Terran Alliance. It is delicate work, requiring extended stay on Earth to better understand human culture and psychology." Something in her tone suggested there was more to the story, but Marcus didn't want to pry on their first meeting. Instead, he found himself lost in the way the light played across her features, wondering what it would be like to trace those shifting patterns with his fingertips. The evening flew by as they talked, sharing stories of their respective worlds and experiences. By the time Zara finally left, Marcus knew two things with absolute certainty. He wanted her to move in, and he was already half in love with an alien he'd just met. Moving day arrived, with the chaos of two completely different species trying to share the same space. Marcus watched in fascination as Zara's belongings materialized from what looked like small, crystalline storage devices. Furniture that seemed grown rather than manufactured unfurled like living plants, while floating geometric shapes took positions around the apartment, apparently serving as both decoration and some kind of environmental control system. "Is this ... alive?" Marcus asked, touching what appeared to be a chair, but felt warm and seemed to respond to his presence by molding itself to his body shape. "Not alive exactly, but responsive," Zara explained, her skin showing pleased yellow patterns as she watched him interact with her furniture. "Valdorian biotechnology grows with us, adapts to our needs. It will learn your preferences too, if you allow it." Within hours, the apartment had transformed into something that belonged neither fully to Earth nor Valdoria, but to them both. Human technology blended seamlessly with Valdorian biosystems, creating an environment that felt both familiar and wonderfully alien. Their first morning together began with an exchange of breakfast traditions. Marcus introduced Zara to coffee, watching her reaction with barely contained amusement as her skin flashed through rapid color changes with the first sip. "It is intense," she said, her voice carrying harmonics of surprise. "I can feel it, affecting my neural pathways immediately. Humans consume this voluntarily." Multiple times a day, Marcus laughed, preparing a milder second cup. "What do Valdorians drink in the morning?" Zara produced a small pod that bloomed into what looked like a luminescent flower when placed in water. The resulting beverage had a taste like starlight might taste. If starlight had flavor, cool and energizing without the jittery effects of caffeine, it harmonizes the body's energy systems, she explained, noticing how the drink seemed to make Marcus feel more alert and centered. "Perhaps we could combine them, create something new." This became their morning ritual, experimenting with different combinations of human and Valdorian foods and drinks. Laughing at the failures and celebrating the successes, Marcus found himself looking forward to these moments more than anything else in his day. Evenings were spent sharing stories from their respective worlds. Zara would describe the floating cities of Valdoria, where buildings grew like coral reefs from crystalline seeds, and the great harmony festivals where entire populations would sing together in frequencies that could be felt across continents. Marcus shared human history, art, and music, watching as Zara's skin responded to different emotions evoked by the stories. She was particularly fascinated by human concepts of individual choice and romantic love, ideas that existed differently in Valdorian culture. On Valdoria, emotional bonds form more. Actually, she explained one evening as they sat together. On the bioresponsive couch, which had learned to perfectly accommodate both their body types. We do not fall in love, as humans say. Recognize solar resonance, a harmony between compatible individuals. How do you recognize it? Marcus asked. Genuinely curious, but also hoping the answer might explain the strange pull he felt toward her. Zara's single quotes scored skin shifted to deeper, more intimate purple tones. The body responds before the mind understands. Skin song changes biorhythms. Synchronize, and there is a drawing together that cannot be ignored. As she spoke, Marcus noticed her skin was pulsing with soft, rhythmic patterns, and he realized his own heartbeat was beginning to match the tempo. The space between them on the couch seemed to shrink without either of them consciously moving. Closer, Marcus, she said softly, her voice carrying undertones he'd never heard before. Do you feel different when you are near me? He nodded, not trusting his voice. The air between them seemed charged with possibility, and when Zara reached out to touch his hand, her skin felt warm and seemed to pulse with gentle electricity. This is new for me, she admitted, her colors showing vulnerability and desire. In equal measure, Valdorians do not usually form such connections with other species. But with you, I feel something I have no words for in any language. Marcus turned his hand palm up, letting their fingers interlace. Her skin felt like silk with a subtle vibration running beneath it, and where they touched, he could swear. He felt their pulses synchronizing. I feel it too, he whispered, meeting her luminous eyes. From the first moment I saw your photograph, something in me just ... recognized you. They spent the rest of the evening talking softly, hands intertwined, exploring this new dimension of their relationship with words and gentle touches. When Zara finally retired to her room, Marcus lay awake staring at the ceiling, his hands still tingling from her touch. Through the thin walls of the apartment, he could hear soft musical sounds coming from her room. What he realized must be some form of Valdorian meditation or emotional processing. The sounds were beautiful, like whale songs mixed with crystalline chimes, and they seemed to resonate in his bones. As the days passed, their physical proximity began creating an intimacy that neither had expected. Simple activities like cooking dinner became exercises in awareness of each other's presence. Marcus would find himself watching the play of color across Zara's skin as she concentrated on tasks, while she seemed fascinated by human facial expressions and the way emotions could be read in the subtle changes around his eyes and mouth. One evening, as they prepared a fusion meal combining human spices with Valdorian protein sources, Marcus reached across Zara to get a utensil. For a moment, they were pressed close together, and he could feel the warmth radiating from her skin and the subtle vibration that seemed to be her species, equivalent of a heartbeat. They froze like that for a moment, awareness crackling between them, before Zara slowly turned in his arms. Her skin was cycling through colors he'd never seen before, deep purples and warm golds swirling together in patterns that spoke of desire and uncertainty. Zara, he breathed, raising his hand to almost but not quite touch her cheek. I know this is complicated, she whispered, her skin showing swirls of blue that he'd learned indicated internal conflict. My mission here, our species differences, the potential consequences, ... But, he prompted gently, his hand still hovering near her face. But I have never felt anything like what I feel when I am with you, she admitted, her colors stabilizing into warm, honest gold. And Valdorian philosophy teaches us to honor truth above all else. This, what is between us, feels like the deepest truth I have ever encountered. Slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, Marcus cupped her face in. His palm, her skin was incredibly soft, warm, and seemed to pulse gently against his touch. Her eyes fluttered closed, and the colors in her skin intensified, creating patterns that were unmistakably expressions of pleasure and contentment. When she opened her eyes again, They seemed to hold entire galaxies within them, and Marcus knew, with absolute certainty, that he was completely, irreversibly in love with this extraordinary being who had somehow found her way into his small apartment and changed everything. The morning after their almost kiss, Marcus woke to find Zara in the kitchen, her skin cycling through agitated patterns of silver and red that he'd never seen before. She was preparing their usual breakfast fusion, but her movements were jerky, almost mechanical, lacking her usual fluid grace. "Good morning," he said carefully, trying to read her emotional state through her bioluminescent display. "Everything all right?" Zara's skin flashed bright orange for a moment. What he'd learned was surprise, before settling into cautious yellow patterns. "Marcus, I need to explain something to you about Valdorian culture, about what has been happening between us." Heart sank. Had he misread the signals completely? Was their growing intimacy unwelcome from her perspective? "Of course," he said, settling onto one of the bioresponsive chairs, which immediately molded itself to accommodate his tense posture. "What is it?" Zara set down her preparation tools and turned to face him fully, her skin now showing deep purple. "Patterns that indicated serious emotional significance. Among my people, what humans call living together or cohabitation has very different meanings," she began, her voice carrying harmonics of nervousness. "When Valdorians share living space, especially for extended periods, it is understood to be a form of courtship bonding." Marcus blinked, processing this information. Courtship bonding? The sharing of daily rhythms, the synchronization of biopatterns, the gradual merging of environmental preferences, Zara explained, her colors shifting to embarrassed blues. All of these are, in Valdorian culture, the equivalent of what humans might call engagement rituals. Implications hit Marcus like a freight train. "So when you asked me to be your roommate, I was proposing what my people would consider a trial mating bond," Zara finished, her skin now cycling through rapid color changes that indicated extreme emotional distress. "I thought you understood. I thought your acceptance meant you were willing to explore this connection between us." Marcus sat back, his mind reeling. Number one, she had been so confused by human customs, so fascinated by his daily routines. No wonder her skin responded so strongly to his presence, why she seemed to be constantly gauging his emotional state. "Zara," he said slowly, "I had no idea. Human roommate arrangements are usually just practical, financial convenience with maybe friendship." Her skin flashed two deep, almost navy blue patterns that spoke of profound disappointment and confusion. "So you do not. You were not intentionally participating in bonding behaviors?" Marcus looked at this incredible being who had somehow interpreted his desperate need for affordable housing as a romantic proposition. Realized that despite the misunderstanding, his feelings were completely real. "The bonding behaviors, as you call them," he said carefully, "may have been accidental on my part initially, but the emotions behind them weren't. Zara, I think I'm falling in love with you." Her skin immediately brightened, cycling through warm golds and soft pinks. "Love. This is the human emotion bond you described to me." "Yes, but it's more than just emotion," Marcus said, rising from his chair and moving closer to her. "It's choice and commitment, and wanting to build a life with someone. It's what I've been feeling more and more strongly every day we've been together." Zara's skin was now pulsing with what he'd learned were expressions of joy and deep affection. "In this love bond, it is exclusive, permanent?" "It can be, if both people want it to be," Marcus said, now standing close enough to see the individual patterns dancing across her skin. "Is that what you want?" "With me." Instead of answering with words, Zara placed her palms against his chest, and immediately her skin began pulsing with synchronized patterns. Marcus could feel his heartbeat adjusting to match her rhythm, and warm tingles spread from where she touched him. "In Valdorian culture, this is called truth-touching," she said softly, her skin now glowing with the most beautiful patterns he'd ever seen on her. "It allows direct emotional connection, sharing of true feelings without the barrier of language." Marcus could feel her emotions flowing through the connection, deep affection, physical attraction, hope, and underneath it all, a love so profound it took his breath away. but he could also sense her fears, her uncertainty about the differences between their species, the complications her diplomatic mission created. "I can feel what you're feeling," he said in wonder, his own emotions flowing back to her through their connection. "This is incredible. Now you understand?" Zara whispered, her skin brightening with joy. "This is why I was so confused by human customs. For my people, this level of connection is sacred. It is not entered into lightly." Marcus raised his hands to cover hers, deepening their connection. Through the link, he shared his own feelings, his growing love for her, his desire to understand her culture, his willingness to face whatever challenges their relationship might bring. "And let me be clear about my intentions," he said, looking directly into her luminous eyes. "I want to court you properly by both our people's customs. I want to learn everything about Valdorian bonding traditions. And I want to see if what we have can become something permanent." Zara's response was a cascade of colors so beautiful it brought tears to his eyes. Patterns of joy and love and acceptance swirling across her skin like living art. And then slowly, she rose up on her toes and kissed him. The kiss was unlike anything Marcus had ever experienced. Her lips were soft and warm, but there was an electric quality to the touch, as if her bioelectric field was interfacing with his nervous system. Colors bloomed behind his closed eyelids, and he could taste starlight and ozone and something purely, uniquely Zara when they finally broke apart. Both were breathing heavily, and Zara's skin was pulsing with patterns so intimate and beautiful that Marcus felt he was witnessing something sacred. That was ... double quotes he started. The beginning, Zara finished, her skin now stabilized in warm, contented gold patterns. "If you truly wish to court me by Valdorian customs, there are rituals we must perform, ceremonies that will bind our biorhythms more closely together, whatever it takes," Marcus said without hesitation. "Teach me." Zara's skin brightened with happiness. "Then tonight, we begin the first ritual, the harmonization of dreams. We meditate together as we sleep, allowing our subconscious minds to find their natural synchronization." As the day progressed, Marcus found himself seeing everything through new eyes. Every shared glance, every accidentally on purpose touch, every moment of synchronized movement or laughter took on deeper meaning. He wasn't just falling in love with an alien woman. He was being inducted into an entirely different way of experiencing romantic connection. That evening, as they prepared for the dream harmonization ritual, Zara explained the deeper implications of what they were undertaking. "Once we begin the formal bonding process, our biorhythms will become increasingly synchronized," she told him, her skin showing patterns of both excitement and solemnity. "Eventually, if we complete all the stages, we will be able to sense each other's emotions and general well-being, even at great distances. It is not something that can easily be undone." Marcus considered this, the magnitude of what she was offering him. A connection deeper than anything humans typically experienced, but also a level of commitment that was both thrilling and terrifying. "And you want this with me?" he asked. "Despite me being human, despite not understanding your customs initially?" Zara moved close to him, her skin glowing with the warmest, most beautiful patterns he'd ever seen on her. "Marcus, what I feel for you transcends species. You have shown me kindness, curiosity, and a willingness to understand my world. You make me laugh, you challenge my thoughts, and your presence brings harmony to my emotional centers in ways I never knew were possible." She paused, her skin showing vulnerable blue undertones. "The question is, are you certain you want this? With me, the bonding process will change you, make you more sensitive to bioelectric fields, more emotionally open. There's no going back to being fully human once it's complete." Marcus looked at this extraordinary woman who was offering him a love beyond anything he'd ever dreamed possible, and realized there was only one answer he could give. "Zara," he said, taking her hands in his, "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." Deepening romance and challenges dream harmonization ritual proved to be unlike anything Marcus had ever experienced. Lying beside Zara, on the bioresponsive sleeping surface that had formed itself to accommodate both their bodies, he could feel her presence in his mind, like warm honey flowing through his thoughts. Their dreams became shared landscapes where human memories blended with Valdorian experiences, creating surreal but beautiful visions of possible futures together. He awoke to find their bodies had unconsciously moved closer during the night. Zara's luminescent hair spread across his chest in patterns that pulsed gently with her sleeping rhythms. When she stirred awake, her skin immediately bloomed with contented morning colors. And Marcus realized he could actually feel her happiness as if it were his own emotion. "The first stage is complete," she murmured, her voice carrying musical harmonics of satisfaction. "Can you feel the change?" Marcus concentrated, and was amazed to discover he could sense her emotional state without looking at her skin patterns. A warm presence in the back of his mind that felt unmistakably like, "Zara, this is incredible. Is this how bonded Valdorians always feel?" "It grows stronger with each ritual," she confirmed, sitting up and stretching in a way that made her skin ripple with golden patterns. "The next stage involves the sharing of life energy." "But Marcus." Her colors shifted to concerned blue tones. "Once we proceed further, others will be able to sense our bond. My diplomatic team, your human friends, everyone will know what we've done." The implications of this hadn't fully occurred to Marcus until now. Valdorian-human relationships weren't exactly common, and Zara was here on an important diplomatic mission. What would this mean for her career, her standing with her own people? "Will this cause problems for you?" he asked, sitting up to face her. "With your mission, I mean?" Zara's skin cycled through several color patterns before settling on a complex mixture that spoke of internal conflict. Valdorian culture values emotional truth above social convenience. But the political situation between our species is ... delicate. Some, on both sides, believe that close bonds between Valdorians and humans could compromise our objectivity and negotiations. Before Marcus could respond, his tablet chimed with an incoming message. The sender ID made his heart sink. Dr. Hassan Reeves, his thesis advisor and one of Earth's leading experts on interspecies relations. "Marcus, we need to talk. My office, 2 p.m. today. Regarding your living situation." Zara's skin immediately shifted to alarmed orange patterns as she read over his shoulder. "They know," she said quietly. "Know what exactly?" Electric. "Scanners can detect bonding signatures once they reach a certain intensity," Zara explained, her colors showing increasing distress. "If your academic institutions monitor for interspecies biological changes, they would have detected our first-stage harmonization." Marcus felt a chill of fear that seemed to resonate through their new connection, causing Zara's skin to flash sympathetic blue patterns. "What does this mean for us?" "I don't know," she admitted, "but we need to be prepared for opposition from both our peoples." The meeting with Dr. Reeves proved to be every bit as uncomfortable as Marcus had anticipated. The older man's office was filled with artifacts from a dozen different worlds, testament to his decades of studying interspecies contact, but his expression was grimmer than Marcus had ever seen it. "Sit down, Marcus, Doctor," Reeves said, gesturing to a chair across from his desk. "We need to discuss your current living arrangement and its implications for your academic future." "What about my living arrangement?" Marcus asked, trying to project innocence even though he knew it was pointless. Dr. Reeves pulled up a holographic display showing bioelectric readings. "These are scans from your dormitory health monitoring system, Marcus. These readings indicate you're undergoing some form of interspecies biological adaptation. The only way this could happen is if you're engaging in intimate contact with a non-human species." Marcus felt heat rising in his cheeks. "My personal relationships are not personal when they involve a Valdorian diplomat, Doctor," Reeves interrupted sharply. "Marcus, do you have any idea what you've done?" "Zara Veltar isn't just any Valdorian. She's the daughter of one of their High Council members, sent here as part of the most important peace negotiations in human history." The room seemed to spin around Marcus, daughter of a High Council member. Zara had never mentioned her family's political importance. Furthermore, Dr. Reeves continued, "There are strict protocols about interspecies intimate contact during diplomatic missions. What you're doing could be interpreted as an attempt to compromise the negotiations through personal influence." "Not what this is," Marcus said firmly, finding his voice. "We didn't plan this, It just happened. Marcus, I like you, and under different circumstances, I might even admire your openness to interspecies connection, Doctor, Reeve said, his tone softening slightly. But this situation is bigger than your personal feelings. There are people on both sides who would use your relationship to derail the peace process entirely. When Marcus returned to the apartment, he found Zara pacing in agitated patterns, her skin cycling through distressed color combinations. The moment she saw him, she rushed over, and through their connection, he could feel her anxiety mixing with his own. They summoned me as well, she said without preamble. The diplomatic team knows about our bonding. They single, or not pleased. Marcus pulled her close, feeling some of her tension ease as their biorhythms synchronized. What did they say? I'm compromising my mission, and I'm letting personal desires interfere with species-wide concerns. Zara's skin showed patterns of hurt and anger. They want me to terminate the bonding process and move to secured diplomatic housing. And what? Did you tell them? Zara's skin shifted to determine gold patterns. I told them that Valdorian culture values emotional truth above political convenience, and that my connection to you has given me deeper insights into human nature than months of formal study ever could. Marcus felt a surge of love and pride flow through their bond. So what happens now? Now we choose, Zara said, her skin stabilizing into serious purple patterns. We can end this before the second ritual. Return to being just friends and roommates. Let both our people's concerns override our personal connection. ... quotes. Or, Marcus prompted, where we complete the bonding process and face whatever consequences. Come together, Zara finished, her eyes meeting his directly. But Marcus, you need to understand what you'd be choosing. If we complete the full bonding, you'll be permanently changed. Some humans might see you as contaminated, no longer purely human, and I might be recalled from Earth, stripped of my diplomatic status. Marcus considered this, weighing their individual futures against the profound connection they'd discovered. Through their bond, he could feel Zara's love for him, but also her very real fear of the consequences they'd face. There's a third option, he said slowly. We could leave. Both of us. Find somewhere in the galaxy where our bond would be celebrated rather than seen as a political liability. Zara's skin cycled through several colors before settling on hopeful gold patterns mixed with uncertainty. You would give up your career, your world, for me, Zara? In the past few weeks you've become my world, Marcus said, cupping her face in his hands. Wherever you are, that's where I want to be. Her response was a brilliant cascade of colors that spoke of joy, love, and deep gratitude. And I would choose you over my diplomatic career, over my family's expectations, over everything, she whispered. But before we make any irreversible decisions, there's something you need to know about me, about why this bonding process is so significant. She pulled away slightly, her skin showing vulnerable blue patterns. Marcus, I'm not just any diplomat's daughter. I'm part of the Valdorian royal line. If we complete this bonding, you won't just be connected to me. You'll be connected to the Valdorian collective consciousness, to the network that links all of our people's most important decisions. Marcus stared at her, the implications slowly sinking in. You're telling me you're Valdorian royalty? Not royalty exactly, but close, Zara said, her colors showing embarrassment. And if a human joins the collective consciousness, it could change everything about how our species interact. It would be unprecedented, revolutionary, and probably terrifying to both our peoples. As the magnitude of their situation became clear, Marcus realized they weren't just choosing between their personal happiness and societal expectations. They were potentially choosing to alter the course of interspecies relations for generations to come. The question was, were they brave enough to make that choice? Love conquers all. The decision came sooner than either of them expected. 3 days after their respective meetings with their superiors, Marcus woke to find Zara's skin cycling through urgent red patterns, the Valdorian equivalent of panic. They're moving to separate us today, she said rapidly, her words carrying harmonics of distress. The diplomatic team has orders to relocate me to the secure compound within the hour, and your university has threatened to revoke your visa and academic standing if you don't submit to bioelectric cleansing treatments to reverse our partial bonding. Marcus felt their shared connection flare with combined fear and determination. Through their bond, he could sense Zara's internal struggle between duty to her people and love for him, while she surely felt his own conflicting loyalty to his education and his deepening commitment to her. "What if we refuse?" he asked, pulling her close so their biorhythms could synchronize and calm each other. "Then we become fugitives," Zara said, her skin settling into resolute gold patterns. "Marcus, there's something else. My father, he's coming to Earth. High Counselor Veltar himself is arriving to personally oversee my recall." The weight of this revelation hit Marcus like a physical blow. Not only were they facing separation, but Zara would have to explain their relationship to one of the most powerful beings in Valdorian society. "When?" he managed to ask. "His ship arrives this evening," which means Zara's skin shifted to determined patterns that spoke of a decision made. If we're going to complete the bonding process, it has to be now, today, before they can stop. Marcus looked into her luminous eyes, seeing his own resolve reflected there. "The full bonding? Even knowing what it means?" "Especially knowing what it means," Zara said firmly. "Marcus, I've been thinking about what you said about choosing love over duty. In Valdorian culture, the highest form of truth is following your deepest emotional guidance. What I feel for you, ... It's the truest thing I've ever experienced." They spent the morning preparing for the final bonding ritual, which Zara explained would require them to share not just emotions and biorhythms, but actual life energy. It was irreversible and would create a permanent connection that could span any distance. "Are you certain?" Zara asked one final time, as they settled into the meditative positions the ritual required. "Once this is complete, you'll carry part of my consciousness with you always, and I yours. We'll be two individuals, but also something new, something that has never existed before." "I've never been more certain of anything," Marcus replied, taking her hands in his. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." The final ritual was unlike anything either of them could have imagined. As their bioelectric fields merged completely, Marcus felt his consciousness expanding, touching not just Zara's mind, but glimpsing the vast network of Valdorian collective awareness that she was part of. For a terrifying, exhilarating moment, he sensed millions of